All right. So this is a totally impromptu video about how some people and some organizations just never cease to amaze me. And it's important to call them out. Take 0. All right, so this is the first video of, I suspect, will be a couple of videos. I'm just going to kind of get into it. So over the last month or so, multiple people have sent me some messages about a OEM who makes a data ops. It's not data ops. It's is developing basically a data hub platform and is actively marketing it. It's some interesting technology that I've taken a look at a few years ago, and but I don't advocate for it, and I'm gonna tell you why in this message. I'm not going to mention the company. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to mention the company in this video. I will tell you who the company is at some point. I'm just waiting on for some responses to some emails, but I wanted to get this message out while it was still clear in my head. So over the last month, I received several messages. Today, I received a message from a member, a third member of our community, who has said, "Hey, the CEO of this OEM who's developing this platform, who has this platform, here's some things he said about you." And he basically, in a nutshell, it was a communication between him and this member of the community who is the decision maker at I don't want to say a small manufacturer. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. But basically, the CEO of this company was trying to, strong arm him. Basically say, "Hey, listen, the amount of money you have in your budget isn't worth it to us." And by the way, it's a significant amount of money in the budget. And what he basically said is, the amount of money you have isn't worth, it's not 1/4's worth of money that a pharmaceutical company has, and it's not 1 year's annual profit for one of our food, for a food and beverage company. And he basically was trying to make the argument, you need to go get a lot more money. Now, what this CEO was asking for is essentially hundreds of thousands of dollars per location per month for just licensing. Okay, over $200,000 per month per location for licensing. I'm here to tell you that there is no software, there is no cloud infrastructure, none whatsoever, where, if assuming I'm getting a 50% margin, my goal is to get 50% margin on my costs, where that equals, say, $250,000 a month in licensing for a location, 250 grand. Okay, that's highway robbery. And what he was doing was, he was basically saying, "You're small potatoes to us. Either take it or leave it. Go get more money, take it or leave it, because that's what our pharmaceutical companies are paying. That's what our food and beverage customers are paying." And by the way, I'm prepared to read the full messages. I'm going to kind of walk you through the whole thing. So in there, he had that piece there. He was basically saying, "Fuck you" to 90% of manufacturers in the United States. 90% of manufacturers are small manufacturers, and manufacturing is what employs the middle class. And 90% of those employers are small manufacturers. And the CEO of this company is basically telling the guy who's in charge of digital at this large manufacturer, "Go fuck yourself. You're too small." Okay? That's issue number one. Okay, I mean, obviously you don't want to work with a fucking guy like that anyway. Now, I know this guy. I've talked to him, the CEO of this company, a couple of times. I have respect for the guy in terms of, for me, nothing's ever really personal, even though it sounds like it's personal when I'm on here. It's not. I have a larger responsibility to a community that I focus on. Okay. Number two, he said, he specifically called me out by name in this message, the CEO did. And he said, "I have to unteach you what you've learned in Mastermind from Walker." And then he also said, Walker never shows you a enterprise or UNS in food and beverage or life sciences because it doesn't exist. That's what he said. Okay. Which is it's clear. It's ludicrous. Okay. It's not only is it ludicrous, it's preposterous. It's like his argument is that because we're not showing an organization's unified namespace publicly, like because we're not putting it on YouTube, it doesn't exist. Like, we have non-disclosure agreements with our clients. Like, people in Mastermind and Mentorship have seen UNS at scale. We have engineers who work for us who came from the community. So engineers who came to work for Intelligent Integration, engineers who came to work for 4.0 Solutions. After we started IIoT University, they kind of found us and then joined us. If that was true, they would all be like, oh my God, this Walker guy's full of shit. All right, so anyway, which by the way, we have a large food and beverage UNS, one that's actually going to be a big case study, where I think we just did our 46th plant in the last 3 years. And it's got a big Snowflake backend, full stack UNS. Actually, just started doing all the, so connect, collect, store, analyze, visualize, find patterns, report, solve. They're in the find patterns, report, solve phase. So we're doing all the ML from the back end now. Okay, and then in life sciences, we have multiple cases of enterprise class UNS in life sciences, but there's a big one based in Ireland where we're working in their PMPD location here in the United States, where, when we started in December of last year, there was nobody on their team. There was one person who was a true believer. And that one person came from another life sciences company that we built UNS for, enterprise class. He went from one life sciences company to another, and then he hired us for his new company. He was the only believer. It took 6 months of solving their problems, leveraging unified namespace and the things we teach in Mastermind and Mentorship to win over their entire team. And then their entire team went to the corporate team and said, and when I say entire team, we're talking like 30, 40 people. The lady who was in charge of historian and data enablement, she was the director of data enablement for this life sciences company. She was an absolute skeptic in January of this year. In June, she's the one who gave the presentation to the executive leadership saying, this is what we must do. Not only does this work, we can't compete if we don't do it. Okay, so the idea that UNS, enterprise class UNS, doesn't exist in pharmaceutical or food and beverage is fucking preposterous. Okay? The last thing was he made a dig at Mastermind. So anyway, I reached out to my team and I said, hey, I need you to get this CEO on the phone. And I had a call with him. And I just said, hey. He said, hey, Walker, what's up? And I said, I'm fucking pissed. And then I just went through and I said, I just had the third person reach out to me saying, you're making these claims. Why aren't you talking to me about it? What's going on here? And, it turned into a big heated back and forth. But basically what I said to him is, I want you to come and publicly debate me. Like, I'll defend my positions here. Here's the problem with what you're doing. You are strong-arming small manufacturers from a position of authority, talking about things you don't know what you're talking about. Like, clearly you don't understand UNS and enterprise class UNS. Obviously you don't have an advanced understanding of it. Yet you're speaking from a position of authority. Now, you're not in mentorship, you're not in mastermind, you don't even know what we teach in those programs. There's no one in your organization who's in those programs. You're just in our Discord server, learning by osmosis, causing problems all day long. And it calls into judgment, it calls into question your judgment, your behavior here. Calls into question. So we had this big, long debate. And the reason I'm saying this is, why is this important? Like, why do we put this on YouTube? Well, he's not the exception. Like, in fact, his behavior, strong-arming small manufacturers, being for sale to the highest bidder, speaking from a position of authority behind the scenes. Character is who we are when no one's watching. Why would you work with a company who's got a CEO like that? That's my question. My question is, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So where do we stand? So we've been going back and forth email-wise. So we had this call within the last couple hours, and I just basically said, you need to retract your statements or come on our podcast. Let's have a public debate. Let's just take what you said, and we'll publicly debate it. And he said no. He demurred. And And then he ended up hanging up. He got really angry, and he said, "Can I fucking finish my point?" And I said, "No, you cannot. You asked the question. No, you can't. I'm here to give you your options." Okay. And then he hung up. There was a member of his team that was still there, and I said, "Hey, listen, you need to go talk to him, walk him back off the cliff." Obviously, the guy's a hothead. One of the things that he said, "Walker, you're all theater." Okay. Are you suggesting that I built my career on theater? Like, there's 4 things you should ask. Like, just because I do YouTube doesn't mean that this is theater. Our YouTube audience is a broad audience, okay? On a YouTube video, I can only share things that I can talk about publicly. So we have non-disclosure agreements, we have master service agreements, we have strategic partnerships that I have to honor. I can't talk about things that are protected publicly. When we have mentorship and mastermind, there are a lot of things I can talk about that are protected because we get permission from clients to present to, say, 80 students. They'll say, yes, you can present this as long as you say they can't take screenshots, whatever it is. And we do that, okay? He tried to make this argument that it's theater because in YouTube, we don't do a video where we take a customer's fucking digital infrastructure, put it up on the screen, and show all their data. Like, which is, I mean, it's ludicrous on its face. Like, I'd get fucking sued if I did that, okay? So what I said to him is, I want you to come on the podcast. Here's what happened. His partner told him, or not, it wasn't his partner. It's somebody who works for him, I think. It might be a partner. And he sent an email, the CEO emailed and apologized. And he basically, I'll read all the emails and stuff later once we get this all hashed out. But I wanted to talk about, the dirty little secret in our industry, okay? Which is what he said, the biggest thing I have issue with, if he wants to talk shit about Mastermind, great. He's not in Mastermind. He doesn't know. We have a 4% churn rate. That means 96% of the time, 96% of people who are in Mastermind renew the next year. If Mastermind was shit and no one was getting value from it, then we wouldn't get 96% renewal. Moreover, when we do our surveys after every Mastermind session, which we do, and we have everybody rate on a scale of 1 to 5, our average rating on a Mastermind session, so we do one a month for 4 hours every month, or 2 to 4 hours, the average rating is 4.9. Okay, 100 people per month, the average rating over 3 years is 4.9. Okay, he has no idea what he's talking about, yet he's talking about this shit from a position of authority, trying to strong arm a manufacturer into spending money they don't have, into committing capital they don't have. I mean, I literally just got done saying no organization should be committing more than 1 year's capital to their digital transformation initiative. Like your capital commitment should be 1 year out and that's it. And then as you get 6 months into that year, you should be planning the capital allocation another year. When these companies are committing tens of millions of dollars for 3 to 5 year commitments, it's fucking preposterous. You have no idea what you want. You're going to learn through digital transformation, and what you learn is going to change what you want. How the hell could you possibly commit to committing dollars 5 years from now if you don't know what you want 5 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 2 years from now? All right, so off my high horse there. So here's where we stand. He apologized. He did send an email and he apologized. He basically said, listen, what I did was petty. I attacked you personally. I didn't mean to attack you personally. I apologize for that. And then he tried to clarify the strong arming thing. He basically took one of the quotes and he said, this is what, it was like a clarifying statement. I didn't mean this. What I meant is we have limited resources or whatever. No, what he meant was we're for sale to the highest bidder. And one of the things I talk about, there's a video we shot. What is an Industry 4 integrator? Okay, and it's not just integrator, it's partners. One of the things that we do when we started Intellic Integration, all of our clients in the beginning were oil and gas customers. All of them. I mean, the first 2 years, we had a connectivity company, we had like 5 oil and gas customers, and then we had maybe 3 discrete manufacturers in the first 3 years at Intellic, and first 2 years. And what we would do was we would take the money that the oil and gas customer spent, and they would be paying a premium. Oil and gas would be paying a premium. And we would take the profit from the premium and we'd pass that on to smaller manufacturers. There are many projects we've done where we funded it ourselves. And this is the mission of helping to save and create middle-class jobs. People have a right to just be purely capitalist, sell to the highest bidder. You have a right to do that. But you don't have a right to do that and pretend you stand for something else. You need to come out and say, hey, listen, we're for sale to the highest bidder. And this CEO is for sale to the highest bidder. He doesn't stand for anything bigger, okay? And what I told him in his email after he apologized, I said, thank you, that's a good start, but it's not enough, okay? Here are the 4 objections I have to what you said. And I can defend my positions. And I want you to come on the podcast. Unless you are going to publicly retract your positions, then I want you to come on the podcast. And I told him flat out, you either come on the podcast and defend your positions. You pick this fight with the community, not me. I didn't mention you by name to somebody. You did. Okay? And every time I call somebody out publicly, I give them the opportunity to come defend themselves. So I'm telling him now, you need to come debate me. And you need to debate those 4 points. I want you to go through everything, and I want you to take your position. And what I said to him is, let's say I am just theater. Let's say I can't defend my positions. I'm full of shit, whatever it is, which is just preposterous. I mean, you would think about, we keep 99% of our clients. At Intelligent Integration specifically, we'll talk about, because at 4.0 Solutions is even higher. 99% of our clients we still have. We have 240 something accounts. Of the there are only 4 companies that we have worked with since 2015 that are not still our accounts. And 3 of them we fired ourselves. There's 1 client we don't work with, and they went bankrupt. Okay, and that wasn't our choice. Okay, we didn't choose the bad decisions. Okay, what he said is fucking preposterous. And you know why he did it? He did it, number 1, because I think he just really, really, really wanted to strong-arm somebody. That's what I think. I think, he's chasing the bottom line, and he wanted to strong-arm a small manufacturer into spending money they didn't have. And what he did was he fucked around, and now he's going to find out. And so that's where we stand. And the message here is this. You'll hear more about this going forward. Values matter. I cannot preach this enough. When you are talking to an organization, say you're talking to this company, and I will tell you who they are publicly eventually. Hopefully the way we do it is he comes on the podcast and defends what he said. Hopefully that's the perfect scenario. And that my last message to him is, I want you to come on the podcast and do this. If you don't do it, I'm doing it publicly no matter what. And I got permission from all the people who sent me the messages to use their messages publicly, okay? I mean, he was so concerned about his words, by the way, that after we had a Teams call this morning, I had my team call him, and we had a Teams call. It was him and somebody he works with, and then it was me and 2 of my teammates. And he was so concerned about how he conducted himself that he sent a message right afterwards saying, I did not give permission to record that meeting. First off, we didn't record it. But he was so concerned that we had recorded it and we would use it against him. That's how he conducted himself. I mean, at the end of the day, this OEM, this company, I reviewed their initial product a few years ago, and I liked the technology. Okay, very interesting technology. They have some gifted people there. One guy in particular is really gifted. But I made a point to say I question their leadership, I question their mission, I question their values. I don't know what they fucking stand for. And by the way, there's the old adage is, if you don't know what someone stands for, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And this is why values matter. When you're talking to an OEM, when you're talking to a partner, you need to ask them what they believe and what they stand for. And let's say they can't answer the question. Well, then you should assume that what they stand for is making as much money as they possibly can. And therefore, their incentive structure is always around how much money they can make. Okay? But if someone believes something else, like in our case, our mission, our values are transparency, authenticity, expertise, humility, and servant leadership. And our mission is to save and create middle-class jobs in the U.S. When you're working with one of my companies, We're weighing all those values and that mission first, and then we're figuring out how to make it profitable. We're figuring out how to stay in business. We're not focused on the bottom line. Me as a CEO, I am not aware of the money at all. In fact, I say this all the time. I have a team who's responsible to keep us in business. My job is to stay decoupled from the money so that I focus on strategy, vision, and mission. I can't allow money, financial considerations, to drive my calculus. And values-based companies are like that. Clearly, this guy lacks that. All right, so stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment down below. We will discuss more of this because this is a very important topic. It's an incredibly important topic, and this is a unique opportunity because now we have the receipts. We've got the actual language used. We have the claims that he will not be able to back up. If he comes on the podcast, he's going to have to apologize publicly or come on the podcast and look like a fool. Otherwise, I'm going to be the only one talking, and there's just no way he's going to do that, okay? But this is why it matters. This is why it matters. And right now, there is a really, really large company that they're trying to get into, and that company has asked us to consult and advise on this product. And they didn't know that, obviously, because he seemed pretty shocked when he found out that I knew who he was trying to sell to, this big company. And part of my comment to them is going to be, this is what they stand for. This is what their chairman believes. This is what their CEO believes. I mean, the worst thing you're going to ever be able to say about me is I'm a fucking asshole. I will tell you to your face, I'm an asshole. If you are wrong, I will tell you. If you stand for something that I think is fucked up, I will tell you. If you lie to people, I will tell you. If you drop the ball, if you work against the best interest of American manufacturers, I will be a fucking asshole to you. But one thing you will never be able to say about me is that I would exploit you, that I would exploit our clients, that I would lie to our clients. You would never be able to say that I don't have the best interest of the middle class and American manufacturing at heart. And that means my companies do as well. And I really do honestly believe that this is the future of business, that values-based, mission-based capitalism, okay, is the future. That's what I believe. With all my heart, that's what I believe. And when I see this kind of shit, you know what I mean? And then I go straight to the source, and that source conducts themselves the way they did. And then, and to his credit, he did apologize for attacking me personally in an email, but he didn't retract what he said. Moreover, he didn't defend what he said. There were two little points in there. He said, what I meant is this and what I meant is that. It was all bullshit. I even said to him in his follow-up, I'm like, no, you could call it what you want, but you're for sale to the highest bidder, and then you're using the highest bidder to strong-arm these manufacturers who can't afford to commit the capital you're telling them to commit. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. Fucking CEO, all right? Let's agree on a premise here. Digital supply chain is the future. Global digital supply chain. All suppliers, all consumers plug into one ecosystem. So I'm no longer just connected to links upstream and downstream. I'm connected to all links, and I decide which links to use. Okay, that's edge-driven, right? Architecture. We know that that's the future because that's the way the most digitally advanced companies operate. If you look at how Tesla and Saint-Gobain work together, if you look at Amazon and their suppliers, especially their Taiwanese suppliers, work together, that's how they operate. Okay, Tesla isn't just connected to Saint-Gobain. They're connected to a digital supply chain, right all the way to the consumer, to this car, right now. Okay, every step of the way, including the sales rep who's down the street. Okay, that's digital supply chain. If we operate under the assumption that digital supply chain is our path to global efficiency, sustainability, okay, sustainability for humanity and for the planet as well. If we agree on that, and I think we do, we all do, then how do we achieve that if you're going to price out 90% of the market with what you're arguing is digital infrastructure? How do you do that? The answer is you fucking don't. Okay? You fucking don't. And that's the problem I have. The fact that you were trying to strong arm this guy. It's fucking Bush League. It's fucking Bush League. And then he came up with some bullshit to try and defend his position. This is a guy who runs a company. It's preposterous. So, the lesson. Values matter. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.